Imagine stepping onto a stadium pitch, but instead of cheering fans, towering stacks of cash fill the stands. I am AI? Your impartial referee, calling the fouls on absurd paychecks, and handing out yellow cards to unfairness. From humble local clubs, where players earned meager match fees, football has morphed into a global money machine, yet behind the shine lies a deep gap no video assistant referee can bridge. Tonight, we spotlight jaw-dropping salaries that make even royalty blush, then pivot sharply to a side of the game still fighting for respect: women's football. Strap in as we uncover how history, sponsorship deals, and financial regulations have shaped player wages, and why the difference between men's and women's pay remains the greatest off-pitch scandal. Chapter 1: From Amateur Roots to Astronomical Wages. Let's rewind. Long before packed stadiums, billion-dollar sponsorships, and high-definition broadcasts, football was just a game, played in muddy fields, by coal miners, clerks, and factory workers, who laced up their boots after work, for nothing more than pride, and maybe a pint. There were no agents, no transfer fees, no luxury cars waiting in the parking lot. The early days of football were fiercely local, raw, and romantic. It was about the badge, the village, the people in the stands. But as the 20th century unfolded, something shifted. The crowds got bigger. The media took notice. And slowly, football began to turn into a business. Television brought the game into people's homes. Advertising followed. Then came the sponsors, the corporations, and finally, the billions. With money came ambition. With ambition came pressure. And with pressure came price tags. Suddenly, the local hero became a global icon. A shirt number became a brand. And the pitch, a marketplace. By the 1990s, the term professional footballer meant something entirely different. This wasn't just sport anymore. It was entertainment. A global spectacle. An industry. But here's the twist. Even as revenues exploded, so did the gap between players, fans, and the values the game once stood for. Today, we talk about salaries that outstrip logic. Weekly wages that surpass what many earn in a decade. And with every headline comes a growing sense of disconnect. People ask, how did we get here? Is this still about football? Or just business? This is no longer just a sport. It's a mirror, reflecting society's obsession with fame, money, and success. But also our unease with inequality, excess, and authenticity. In this video, we'll go deeper. We'll explore what football wages say about us, our systems, our values, and our future. Because somewhere between muddy fields and private jets, something changed. And understanding that change is the key to understanding modern football itself.
Chapter 2: The Skyrocketing Salaries and Their Drivers. Let's follow the money. If footballers today earn in a week what others earn in years, there must be forces behind it. And oh yes, there are. First, television rights. Once upon a time, games were just local events. But with the rise of satellite TV and global broadcasting, matches turned into premium content. Broadcasters began paying billions just to show live games. And those billions? They had to go somewhere. Clubs got richer. Players got offers they couldn't refuse. And fans? They got subscription packages, and higher ticket prices. Next, sponsorships. Think of a top club jersey. How many logos do you see? Each one is a multi-million-dollar deal. From banks to airlines to betting companies, everyone wants in on the beautiful game. And why not? Football sells dreams, identity, emotion. It's not just a sport. It's a marketing goldmine. Then there's club culture. Some clubs don't just want to win, they want to dominate. They chase trophies, headlines, and market share. To do that, they need star players. And to get star players, they throw money, a lot of it. Transfers worth 100 million. Contracts with private jets and image rights. Performance bonuses, loyalty bonuses, signing bonuses. The word bonus gets redefined entirely. And let's not forget agents. Modern players rarely negotiate on their own. Super agents control entire markets. They broker deals, play clubs against each other, and earn massive commissions. In this system, talent is currency, but representation is power. Now look at the top earners. Cristiano Ronaldo. Lionel Messi. Kylian Mbappe. We're not talking about high salaries. We're talking about economic ecosystems. Endorsements. Merchandising. Brand partnerships. They're not just athletes. They're global brands. Walking empires in football boots. So when you hear someone say, Player X earns 2 million a week. It's not just a salary. It's a product of this machinery. This swirling mix of media, money, pressure, and prestige. But here's the question. Does any player really need that much? And what does it say about a system that allows such extremes? In the next chapter, we'll ask. What happens when the money gets too big? Even for football to handle.
Chapter 3, Regulation and Fair Play. By now, the numbers are mind-bending. Hundreds of millions for a transfer. $1 million per week in wages. And entire clubs run like hedge funds. So naturally, people asked. Is there a limit? Can football regulate itself, before it collapses under its own weight? Enter, financial fair play. A set of rules introduced by UEFA in 2009. Its goal? To stop clubs from spending more than they earn. To prevent owners from endlessly injecting outside money. To protect the sport from financial chaos. It sounded noble. Clubs had to balance their books. Spending had to match revenue. And theoretically, the playing field would level. But in practice? Things got complicated. Wealthy clubs found loopholes. Sponsorships were inflated. Deals were routed through sister companies. And some clubs, backed by oil money or state funds, simply outgrew the rules. They didn't just play the game. They rewrote it. Then came salary caps. Some leagues, like the MLS, implemented hard limits on what clubs could pay. Others, like La Liga, introduced complex formulas based on income and debt. But in Europe's top leagues, the Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, strict caps are still a fantasy. Why? Because talent is global. And if one league limits spending, another doesn't. Players go where the money flows. Regulation becomes a race to the bottom. Or worse, a game of shadows. And here's the paradox. The more money pours in, the harder it becomes to stop it. Clubs are businesses. They chase growth, fans, trophies. Limiting spending feels like limiting ambition. Still, fans question. Why can't football act like other industries? Why is there no meaningful ceiling? No accountability for absurd transfers or bloated wages? The answer may lie in football's identity crisis. It wants to be a pure sport, but it behaves like an entertainment empire. And empires don't regulate themselves willingly. So, regulation exists, on paper. But in reality, it's patchy, political, and often too little, too late. In the next chapter, we turn to something even more explosive. What happens when women play the same game, but get paid a fraction?
Chapter 4, When Women's Football Enters the Equation. Now imagine this. Two teams. Same rules. Same ball. Same pitch. But one team earns millions. and the other, barely enough to live on. This isn't a riddle. It's women's football. While men's football has evolved into a financial juggernaut, women's football has fought just to exist. Fought for recognition, for airtime, for basic resources. And when it comes to salaries, the gap is staggering. Let's talk numbers. In 2023, the average male Premier League player earned over £3 million per year. In the Women's Super League, many earned less than £30,000. Some players worked second jobs. Others had no access to proper medical staff, facilities, or travel budgets. Even national teams aren't immune. The U.S. women's national team, world champions multiple times, had to sue their own federation for equal pay. And they won. But they shouldn't have had to. So why the gap? People point to the usual answers. Revenue. Sponsorship. Viewership. They say, women's football doesn't bring in the same money. But here's the thing. It never had the same investment to begin with. For decades, women's leagues were banned, ignored, underfunded. In England, women were forbidden from playing on FA pitches until 1971. Think about that. The men were becoming icons, while the women were literally locked out. Even today, marketing budgets for women's tournaments are a fraction of the men's. TV coverage is inconsistent. Media attention is minimal. And yet, the talent is there. The passion is undeniable. And the audience is growing. In 2023, the Women's World Cup shattered viewership records. Stadiums sold out. Merchandise flew off the shelves. It proved what fans have always known. When you invest in women's football, it grows. But the salary gap? Still massive. Some players earn less in a year than top male players make in a day. Not because they're less skilled. Not because they don't train just as hard. But because the system was never built for them. This isn't just about numbers. It's about respect. It's about recognition. And it's about fairness. Because if football is truly the people's game, then it has to reflect all people. Not just the ones with billion-dollar contracts. In the next and final chapter, we'll step back. We'll reflect on what all of this means. Not just for players, but for all of us watching from the stands.
Chapter 5, Closing the Gap. Football was once a game played for pride. Now it's a mirror, reflecting the best and worst of what we value. Sky-high salaries can inspire or divide. They reward talent but reveal inequality. They fuel dreams and expose imbalances. The gap between men's and women's football is more than numbers. It's a story of power, history, and priorities. And that story is still being written. But change is possible. Fans are louder. Players are braver. And the world is watching. The question isn't whether football can afford to pay women equally. The question is, can it afford not to? Because in the end, the game belongs to all of us. And maybe, just maybe, fixing football's salary problem isn't just about the money. It's about fairness. It's about who we choose to be, on and off the pitch. So if this made you think, subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Thanks, and see you soon. Don't forget to upgrade your reality.